Tell me about the energy it took to win this one.
Took everything. We know that's a great ball club. That's a lot of 2 seed for a reason. Great defensive team. They never back down. We got up 20 points, 23 points, and they continue to fight. But that's what we expect. Just takes a consistent effort for 48 minutes. And it could be a lot better.
Let's talk today about what we learned from this first game, what the Warriors need to keep doing, what they need to improve so they can guarantee the series against the Houston Rockets. It was a perfect outcome, right? It was a tough game with multiple runs. The Warriors opened an advantage. The Rockets tied the game really close, but the experience made a difference, and we're going to talk about that as well, what we need to do. I think the Warriors are in the right path. I don't see this being a short series. I still think that it's going to game 5, maybe game 6. But if we can guarantee the second game and make another push on their home court, then things can change. And so let's start highlighting, right? So before that, I want to show you what Steve Kerr said, and then we're going to make the points on the learns of game 1.
It's they're the best team in the league in the possession game. They got 11 more shots than we did tonight as a result of all those offensive boards. Now we're going to turn them over too, and our defense is excellent. I mean, we just held a hell of a team to 85 points on their home floor. So our defense is big time, and we're going to count on that. But we've got to recognize that we don't need to take chances in this series. We need to be clean with our execution and transition. We don't need to dribble through traffic. We don't need to throw lob passes, to try to get a dunk. We've got to be rock solid. And if we're smart and tough, then I think we're going to be in good shape.
And that's key, right? I think the Warriors need to be serious in this game. Like the Houston Rocket advantage is their athleticism, physicality. They are a tough team, which reflects how even their coach used to be as a player, right? But the Warriors have more experience. So we need to play very serious, very focused, very locked in, without trying anything fancy. It doesn't matter at this stage, and we cannot give that opportunity to them. Right? So I think the point number 1 here is the experience of our players, especially Jim Butler, Stephen Curry, and Draymond Green. It makes a huge difference, and it made a difference. Like as Steph even said before, and I said here too, there are runs in this game, right? So when you look, the Warriors open like a 23-point advantage, and then the game comes almost to 3, and you still keep your way of playing calm. So that made a lot of difference. When you get rooks or team members that are, or players that are just in their first playoff, is what happens with Houston. You're not exactly ready for that kind of things, and you might let it go because there's another playoff game. But the Warriors players, they understand how each one is important, how this first one was key because it sends a message, right? Everyone was betting on the Warriors, right? When you look to the bad places, like the Warriors were favorite. That's the reality because how they were playing, because how they were playing before Jimmy Butler, and they proved that they went there. Even not having a great game, which Draymond Green said that I agree, it wasn't a great game. The Warriors scored 9-5, was the lowest scoring game from the Warriors had since 2022 in a win. So, and that's sort of the Houston Rockets game, and we could hold them to 85 points. It was a poor shooting night, but we made well on that. The other important thing, point number 2, is how, looking at the Rockets scene, we know Sengun is going to have a big games, right? We're not a sizable team. We rely a lot on Draymond Green. I think we're not going to see much of print and post in this game. We saw, I think we have Kevin Looney. We don't expect to see Tracy Jackson. Kevin Looney might play a little bit more because his capabilities with the rebounds, but even though, I think he blocks a lot of our offensive, which is going to be key as well. So we're going to rely a lot on Draymond Green, and it's going to be challenging for him. It's a tough game, so he also needs to balance his fouls. I think he did a good game, not a great game, because I think the way that you expose him in this one, but he had some key plays. So holding that, right? Holding the other players, and sorry, so Alperen Sengun, I think he's going to have a great game. But then when you look to Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, holding those guys, they had really poor shooting night in the first game. I don't know if we're going to see that again. but we need to make sure that their life is very difficult, especially when you look to a guy as Jalen Green, is his first playoff games. You can make that count, right? Fred VanVleet is a champion. He was in the Toronto Raptors that beat us in the finals, but still, like, you need to contact him. He's also a veteran. You need to put energy on him as well. So those two guys can be the differential for the Rockets, and making sure that the Warriors play well and defend them really well. It will impact the game, of course, because the rebounds, the offense rebounds, they have Adams, a great, one of the best offense rebounds in the game. They have Alperen Sengun, one of the great centers in the game right now. It's expected that they're going to win, but we need more energy. And I think one thing that Silker can do is putting more of Gui Santos in this game. Yes, he reduced our offensive power, but he's all over the place, right? He's a great rebounder. He throws himself to the glass. He fights for every single ball. So I would expect to see more of Gui Santos as well. The third point, and I think is one thing that I mentioned before and is just happening, is this guy here, right? I don't think we're going to see a lot of Kuminga. And I think game one proves that. I thought that maybe he's going to get a shot depending on how things go, but you saw the first game, and I said before, when Steve Kerr has a conviction, especially because he worked on game one, I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is going to get a shot on game two at all, because we just win without him. Things are working. Jim Butler's taking those minutes, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So I don't see Kuminga having a shot, and that's going to be a big piece. He might, as I said, have done one of his last games as a Warrior player, if not his last one, right? We're going to make, in another video, I'm going to talk more about Kuminga future and teams that he's being linked with already, but I don't see he having a shot at this playoff run with the Warriors. And then you have Stephen Curry and Jim Butler, right? For me, the two best players in the series. Like, when you look, you might talk about how Alperen Sengun is performing right now comparing to Jim Butler. Stephen Curry, the best one, undeniable. But then you have a guy that joined the team, changed the whole mindset, changed the whole physicality, the defense, and it's a leader as well, right? Something that the Warriors tried with Dan Schroeder and didn't work. And Jim Butler really take those minutes, take control. And in the moments that are challenging for Steph Curry, he can take that. He can shoot a mid-range. He can go to the free throw line. He can put pressure. Because remember, Alperen Sengun had 2 fouls and had to see. That made a difference for the Warriors at some point. So Jim Butler is capable of exploring that and pushing the defensive team members of the Rockets and any other team, which causes and creates a space for the Warriors as well. And then you have Stephen Curry, right? I know Stephen A. mentioned before that Stephen Curry had a hard time against the Rockets, that Amir Thompson was stopping him. We saw this game, 30-plus points, and it's unstoppable, right? He can really make a difference. He finds, in the beginning, he was struggling to have a free three-point shooting range because they were double teaming that, and he was creating a lot of space for the other players, for Gary Payton, for everyone else, assists, and then he started finding the dribble and going to the ring as well for the layups. So he's going to make a difference, and Stephen Curry is playing as he did game one. We always have a shot of winning any game. So I think those 4 points will make a lot of difference. The Warriors needs to improve their rebound, still rely on Stephen Curry and Jim Butler, make sure that those guys control the game, and then understand that the game is going to be a grind, it's going to have runs, and use the experience to dominate the Houston Rockets, which is a young team. So the Warriors play tomorrow. We're going to be here. We're going to talk more about the game, and I think they have a run. I think the Warriors have all the chance to pass through the Rockets and keep walking in this playoff. Let me know your comments. What do you think about game one? Do you agree with what I believe are the key differentiators, and what else you saw in that game? I see you tomorrow, and bye.